This video series will have excitement, love, laughter, death, adventure, sadness, betrayal, exploration, ghosts, and so much more. Join me as I discover The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for the very first time. This journey starts with a side quest called Twisted Firestarter. I'm helping a dwarf named Willis find out who burned his house down. Somebody burned it down, and he wants help to find out who it was. So I start by using my Witcher senses behind his house to see if I can gain a lead. The first thing I find is where the assailant lit his torch. The next thing I find are large boot prints, so I keep following the trail and keep going. I end up by a river right by a washed up boat to follow the trail. Now for some reason I actually get pretty confused here and I run around for a bit before I actually find the correct path to the trail, so that's what you're going to be seeing in the background. When I do end up finding the correct path, I find that he got ambushed by drowners when he was attempting to run away. In the rush, he actually dropped his boots. So I keep following the trail of my Witcher senses and end up at his house. Right before I enter though, I see that there's a bloodstain on the ground, so now that I know that he has an injury, I can keep an eye out for that. And when I find him, he immediately starts talking about why he doesn't like other races besides humans. So, you already know where that's going. He tries to bribe me into not saying anything, but that's not going to slide for me. Then he gets hostile, and then I get my first option to use magic to persuade someone. And after I use the magic, his mind is influenced to calm down and follow me. And in typical RPG style, he takes 1,000,000 years to follow me. He takes so long, I could probably go to the kitchen, make 3 sandwiches, and be back before he even makes it to me. Anyways, after it takes 1,000,000 years, we make it back to Willis and tell him that Nap is the perpetrator. Willis is very surprised because he knew Nap's mom for a very long time. He didn't even charge her that much when she would buy stuff at the forge. So Willis calls the guard over, and Nap begs Willis not to do anything by saying that he was drunk. But even if he was drunk, we know that Nap doesn't like dwarves anyway. The guards tell me how important the forge was for the garrison, and that the punishment didn't even need a trial, they just needed a tree. Now I thought that was a bit harsh, but I guess it makes sense when you destroy someone's prized possessions and home, especially when you don't like their race for no reason. But after that, Willis gives me my reward and then tells me that he actually salvaged some stuff from the fire and he becomes a vendor. The next thing I do is pick up a contract for something that's haunting a nearby well. So I go over to Odolin's house to see exactly what is haunting the well. I first start by taking a couple of the things that are inside of his house. He actually tells me that the well has been haunted for 20 years, but the reason he puts up a notice now is because they would get their water from the river. But now, after the battle, the river is contaminated with corpses. He then tells me that his daughter is very sick from drinking the contaminated water, and the local herbalist said the only thing that can make it better is pure and clean drinking water. He gives me a brief description of the wraith that's haunting the place, and then we set out to go to the well. After I get to the well, I realize that, I don't know how to fight noon wraiths. So I look at the bestiary in the menu and see that they're weak to trap magic damage. So I start using that to gain an advantage. So after I deal some damage to her, she disappears. This gives me the opportunity to look around and see exactly what the object is that's tying her to this place. After a little bit of searching, I find and read a diary. It reveals that there's a bracelet that I haven't found yet, and that must be the object that's tying her to this place and why she's still here. On the way out of this little house, I find that there's blood trails and blood handprints on the walls, implying that she was taken away while she was still alive. After a bit of searching, I find some rope that would usually have the bucket for the well on it, but there's something heavier tied to the rope. And that's when I find the Noonwraith's skeleton hanged by the rope. I discover that it is indeed the woman from the diary and the Noonwraith. So I also noticed that her left arm is missing, implying that the bracelet that it was attached to must have fallen off into the well. So I jump into the well, and after a bit of searching, I find the arm with the bracelet attached under the water. Then I swim back out of the well and then prepare the body for the cremation. As I start burning the body, the Noon Wraith appears out of the well. And you know how this goes, I have to fight her in order for her to be able to pass on these nuts. After a bit of fighting, she lets out a blood-curdling scream. After that, I'm on my way back to Odalin to complete the quest. So I report back to Odalin and tell him that the Noon Wraith is gone. He offers me gold, but in the form of his daughter's dowry. Even though it might have been a good lump of money, I didn't take it, because the way I see it is, when she grows up to be able to wed, I want her to have some money to her name. He tells me I have a good heart, but he doesn't want me to go empty-handed, so he gives me some amethyst instead. The next thing I do is go to the contract board again to pick up a contract for a missing brother. So I head over to Dune to get more information about his missing brother. So his brother tells me he fought in a nearby battle. So after a bit of talking, him and I head over there to see if we can find his brother. Dune and I meet near the battlefield, and he tells me that each of the soldiers from White Orchard painted a flower on their shield so they're easily recognizable, which makes it a lot easier when looking through a battlefield of corpses. After some searching, it wasn't looking good, but in a twisted, unexpected turn of events that nobody for sure ever was gonna guess, the dog found the scent of his brother Bastien, so we start immediately racing with the dog to find him. And what we see is, well, let me just show you.
But there is more. My lieutenant demanded we defecate on command. Ballista bolts landing all around, and all he could say was, "A soldier with a full stomach will not step onto the battlefield." Now shit, that is an order. Can you believe it? The cretin.
Stop! You're killing me. My ribs. It hurts to laugh.
That needs a tourniquet. But first, want to explain what's going on here?
Bastian! Has this Nilfgaardian captured you?
No. He saved my life. I got a cut to my side, and then got hit in the head. Couldn't see anything. Rosinia found me as he crawled across the battlefield. His legs twisted. And so we were. A blind man leading a cripple. Found this place.
I'm taking you home. We need to see to these wounds.
I won't leave Rosinia. Alone he'll die. And he can't go back to his home. He's deserted. They'll hang him.
And what if they find him with us? They'll hang us all, my Laisha included. No, the Blacken stays here.
Bastion only made it with the Black One's help. Maybe you ought to show him Nordlings aren't as barbarous as Nilfgaardians make us out to be.
Well, I could give him our pa's clothes, teach him to work the field. But that accent... Fine, I'll take him in. Thank you, Witcher. Your reward, and the gods protect you.
So the way I see it is, if it wasn't for the Nilfgaardian soldier, his brother Bastien would be dead. So I think it's only fair if they take him back and take care of him. Of course, there's always a risk of being caught and getting hanged for having a Nilfgaardian as an ally in that territory, but I think it's worth the risk. Yep, I think it's worth the risk, 100%. Yep. After that, Vesemir and I head to the White Orchard Inn. We ask the barkeep if she's heard anything about Yennefer or seen her, and sadly she doesn't. So I decide to ask around the bar. First I ask these two guys and they think it's funny to mess with the Witcher, so I scare them and then they don't know anything. I decide to ask this guy, okay, don't make fun of me if I say this wrong, Gunter O'Dim, to see if he's seen anything about Yennefer. And I'll just let this whole scene play out, because let me know if you see something strange, because I feel something strange when talking to this guy.
2 schnapsies. It'll lift your spirits.
Don't generally drink with strangers.
Come, I know this to be a vile place. You might down a little glass merely to aid digestion.
Can we cut to the chase? You seen her or not?
Yennefer of Vengerberg.
Never mentioned her name.
Yet you described her perfectly. And once I hear something, I never forget. Can't help it.
What do you do? Who are you?
A mangy vagrant. Gone to Rodim, at your service.
Vagrant. That a profession now?
Once a merchant of mirrors. The madding crowd dubbed me Master Mirror, or the Man of Glass.
How do you know Yennefer?
What a question. Master Dandelion's ballads, of course. The only way a humble merchant might hope to rub up against greatness. Unless, that is, he's as lucky as I am.
And runs into a very patient witcher.
It's a Geralt of Rivia himself. The Butcher of Blaviken.
Recognize me from Master Dandelion's ballads too?
To your health.
You seen Yennefer?
Deepest apologies, but I must ask. Is this about love?
Guessed it. It's love.
I knew it at once.
What do you know? Tell me.
Before you appeared, it never occurred to me that might have been Yennefer. Who would have thought?
Get to the point.
A Nilfgaardian scout from the local garrison saw her.
Where?
At their camp. She rode in there. Dark of night. Black and white. Gooseberries and... Yes, I know. Had a terse exchange with the garrison commander and raced off.
Where to?
I'm not omniscient. Ask at the garrison.
Thanks.
We men of the road must stick together. Perhaps one day I'll be in trouble and you'll be nearby to help.
So that was Gaunter O'Dim. He tells us that the commander at the garrison had seen Yennefer. So, as I normally do, I go to head to the garrison. We see the Nilfgaardian commander talking to a peasant about crops. So, after that, I ask him if he's seen Yennefer. He says that's a military secret. But I ask him what would it take for me to get the information, and he wants me to kill the griffin that's been terrorizing the area. After a lot of searching, I find the griffin's nest and investigate the area.
Female. Larvae in her wombs have already hatched. Been dead at least a week. Other griffin must be a male. Deep cuts over the whole body. Not a drop of blood on the beak or claws. Didn't defend herself. Crept up on her while she slept. Beak tips worn. Gray hairs in the coat. 10, 12 years old. Griffins pair off for life when young. Male must be about the same age. Thick shaft, dense barbs. A royal griffin. Explains why the male I ran into was so aggressive. Hunted the Nilfgaardians down here in the forest first, then started prowling the area. Done what I could. Should talk to Vesemir.
After my investigation, I'm ready for the battle, so I go to Vesemir to prepare. After waiting all night for the griffin to appear, he appears in the morning, and then we get to slay him.
Watch out!
After a long and good fight with the griffin, we return back to the commander to tell him that the griffin has been slain. He reveals that Yennefer is about a day's ride away from here. So, now we can go back to the White Orchard and prepare to leave with Vesemir. And this is it for the first episode. I'm going to let this whole scene play out so you guys can watch it. But if you enjoyed this video, I ask that you like and subscribe because it would mean a lot to me. Thank you and have an amazing day.
Who are they? Patriots, drinking their 7th round for Temeria, fist starting to itch.
Don't see any Nilfgaardians.
They'll find another foe. I'll buy some provisions for the journey, then we'll go. Geralt, we should stay out of it, just this once.
What happened to the lilies?
Took him down.
Took them down to hang a golden sun there now.
I cannot show Temerian colours. They'll come and burn the tavern down.
Maybe it's true what they say. You fond of the Imperials? You Nilfgaard's whore?
I'll let that pass. I know grief eats at your heart.
You know shit. They hanged my sister, dragged her out the cloister like a dog. Said Nilfgaard's no place for superstition, that they don't fear the wrath of the gods. And you, do you fear it? If not for Annie, your child would have choked on its navel string. You owe your son to my sister attending to the birth, and you don't fear the gods' wrath. You don't fear it, you cunt! Leave me be!
Recognize this medallion? You know what it means. Back off.
You all right?
They say witches steal young'uns. That true? What'd the Emperor promise you freaks? Your own land? Like he did the elves once?
Get out, all of you.
We ain't going nowhere. And neither are you.
They won't back down now.
I can see that.
You're dead!
It's all right. It's over.
Leave me be! Get away!
See his face! God save us!
Be gone, and don't ever come back.
So much for not getting involved. Come on, let's go.
That brawl, we didn't start it.
Excuses, excuses. You've not changed a bit.
Yen? How?
I received a report about a witcher who'd appeared in White Orchard. I knew it was you, looking for me. I might have waited until you found me, but... well, you know me. Patience has never been my strong suit. It's... good to see you, Geralt. I'd even embrace you. Were you not covered in blood?
Sorry. Wasn't expecting to see you. To be honest, this isn't at all how I imagined we'd meet.
How did you imagine it?
You didn't imagine you'd have a Nilfgaardian escort. Don't get me wrong, Yennefer. I'm glad to see you. But I do think you owe us an explanation.
And I shall provide it. In Vizima. Ready your horses.
We can talk here. Some charming orchards nearby. In bloom even, so you almost can't smell the corpses.
A tempting proposition. Sadly, I must say no. You see, someone awaits you in Vizima. Someone who doesn't like to be kept waiting. Emperor Emir var Emrys, or to those on more intimate terms with him, the white flame dancing on the graves of his foes.
Doubt I number among that group. For as I remember, last time we saw each other, he wanted to kill me.
Well, now he wishes to make you an offer.
The kind one can't refuse?
I didn't, though I could have.
Must have been a damn good offer then. Not many things you'd give up your freedom for, and even fewer people.
The sooner we set off, the sooner you'll find out.
What about you?
I'm going in the opposite direction. I somehow doubt the Emperor's invitation mentioned me. Besides, I've got things to do at Kaer Morhen, remember?
Yeah, I remember. Thanks for your help, Vesemir. See you soon.
How's your horse? Swift?
Can't complain. Why do you ask?
I'd like to be back behind some thick city walls as soon as possible.
Recently.
Knowing you, it was probably filthy.
Just the beginning. But then...
But then?
Yennefer, how'd they...
We shall talk of this tomorrow, all right? After the audience.
Thank you.